The Minister of Defence is hosting her counterparts from other parts of the world. Our foreign editor, Sophie Mokoena, is there.
Sophie, a very good morning to you. What do you have for us? All right, it seems that we're having a bit of an issue with Sophie Mokoena there. We will try to get back to her as soon as possible. But let's just remind you about our question of the day. And we're asking you with regards to, the incidence of gender-based violence in South Africa. And I guess, Desiree, it's reaching to a point where you're just so frustrated and you don't know what to do. So we're asking the viewer, what can we do? What needs to be done in South Africa?
But the other question that has been asked is about the other half of men who do not abuse women. And the question is asked from them, what needs to be done? A lawyer that we have on the show regularly for analysis, Bulelwa, has posted that she went running this morning. And she says whenever she runs, men just ogle at her and pass funny remarks. And today she was running with her husband. And just out of respect for her husband, no such remarks were passed. So there is a powerful message there that men who don't believe in this can do something about it, and they should. And they must come up, stand up and say, we're not part of that brigade. You
can't get a solution without involving men, because
absolutely.
When we look at it, that's where it lies. If it needs to be changed at home. What you're saying
is the same thing that is being said to women about Women's Month, that Women's Month is not for you to be more powerful than men. It's to recognize that we're equals. And there can't be solutions without both sides.
We just listening to radio yesterday, SABC radio, and when the news of Mapisa-Nqakula came out, it really, ignited this sense of what are we doing, South Africa? Where are we going wrong, and what is the possible solutions?
Let's try and go back to our foreign editor, Sophie Mokoena, who is with the Minister of Defence. What's happening where you are, Sophie?
Yes, Desiree, I'm here in Pretoria, where the Minister of Defence is hosting her counterparts, looking at the security on the continent. As you are aware that the South African Defence Force is playing an important role in terms of peacekeeping missions around the continent. You know that most of our soldiers are deployed in the DRC as part of the intervention force. But because of the current situation in South Africa, you are fully aware that the Minister of Defence is also the chair of the cluster on security in the Republic of South Africa. It is for that reason I'm going to speak to her about the current protest in the country and the fact that the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria has issued a hard-hitting statement lamenting the fact that government is not doing anything. We'll find out from the Minister in terms of what the security cluster is doing to ensure that they address this current situation. Good morning, Minister Mapisa-Nqakula. Can you tell us the situation is horrible? And we've seen reactions, particularly from the international community, a damage to the credibility of the country. What is the security cluster doing? Did you meet? Did you brief the president? Are you taking steps to ensure that this comes to an end?
Firstly, Sophie, thank you very much for the opportunity. One, to allow me to be able to talk to South Africans. It's very clear that this whole program which is being rolled out, right, was well choreographed, well planned, well strategized for. You can just see by the number of incidents which have already occurred in the past 24 hours. This thing started in Jeppstown, okay? Today it is in Alex. Yesterday afternoon it was in Ekurhuleni. By the end of yesterday we had it in the CBD of Johannesburg. There are copycats. We've also seen it in Durban in the past. And I just want to say that it's unfortunate that people are being used, one, by criminal elements, but also by other people who have nefarious intentions of firstly tarnishing the image of the Republic of South Africa, but secondly of undermining the authority of the state. I'm under no illusions. I know that there's a high rate of unemployment in South Africa. I know that there are socio-economic challenges in South Africa. I also know that there are infrastructural challenges where people are looking for houses and so on. So we have many, many challenges like all other nations do have. However, it can never justify the kind of criminality that we see right now, which is happening. From where I am, from where I come from, it is very clear that the whole thing is meant to undermine the authority of the state. At a time when this week we are having the World Economic Forum, WEF is being hosted by us in Cape Town, and then this thing happens. So I just think that all that is required is for the security forces to be better organized, well organized, see the signs in good time. When these sorts of things are going to happen, there are early warning signals.
Minister, you're talking about early warning signal. Where is the intelligence services of this country? What are they doing? I mean, they're engaged in divisions and fighting. And look now what's happening. Because people are asking hard questions. The intelligence services, what are you doing to pick up this?
Our intelligence services have had their own challenges. However, you are also aware that there's new leadership starting from the executive in state security, and I'm sure the Minister of State Security and the entire new leadership there are aware of the challenges. You know that we've had a review panel which came out with a report which clearly pointed to some of the irregularities which have occurred over the years within that entity. So all of those things are being addressed. However, the challenge though is that all of those things are being addressed, some of the issues now continue of our inability to collect and give early warning systems to the executive. If you were to hear what my view is on the matter, I just think that at some point South Africa needs to sit back and appreciate that there was a time when we had what was called military intelligence. And when we came into power, as we were writing our constitution, developing our laws, we then took a decision that the role of military intelligence should be called to collect outside of the Republic of South Africa. And it is now called defense intelligence. You may actually want review some of the decisions you took in 1994 when we were ushering the new democracy, not clearly having an appreciation of a prediction of some of the challenges that we will have in the future. So I'm just saying you need a collaborative effort from amongst all of these intelligence services. Of course, I'm not saying defense intelligence has the best capacity. No, not at all. Because they too, precisely because some of the people who are involved in this whole thing have this foreign element together with our own people. They too could not pick it up. So I'm really condemning and I'm very critical of the inability of all intelligence services to give us the early warning signals. Well, some people believe there should be a state of emergency. There's no need for a state of emergency. There's no crisis in this country. What we need to do is to stem the authority of the state and get the criminals to appreciate that you will not engage in acts of criminality in the name of the socio-economic challenges of the people of South Africa, take advantage of the fact that our people are in need of jobs and take advantage of that and create this kind of chaos.
Minister, the Commander-in-Chief, the head of state, the President of the Republic, Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, did he get a briefing yesterday?
Yes, he received a briefing. I'm aware the Minister of Police was with the Commander-in-Chief, and I'm aware of the steps the Commander-in-Chief is taking to deal with the matter. I'm aware of the brief, and hopefully we'll also be meeting all of us as a cluster together with him to just give him an analysis, an assessment of what we think is happening in the country. I think that we should not be superficious. We should not be look at the matter with innocent eyes. You need to probe, you need to go deeper, you need to analyze, you need to say, why is it coinciding with the World Economic Forum? Why is it coinciding with so many things which are happening elsewhere in the country, in the world? Because South Africa is not an island. We are interlinked with all other things which are happening elsewhere. If people elsewhere don't want refugees and refugees rock up in South Africa, you must be able, when you do your analysis, what is this? What is this phenomenon which we are seeing now, which is new? The foreigners have always been here in South Africa. We've always known about it. Not only that, we've always known that there are those who are undocumented. We've always known that there are those who are crippling our economy by running spaza shops and selling goods at a very low price. We've always known that. But what is this phenomenon now which is coming out amongst our people of saying because of that, therefore we must take the law into our hands? For me, it's not as innocent as it looks.
And finally, Minister, are we going to see reinforcement but also a tough talk towards the intelligence service in particular? Because, Minister, if journalists are able to pick up these things in terms of the technology we have currently, you know, these people, they coordinate and there are WhatsApps. If journalists are able to sense what's likely to happen, why the intelligence service with all the capacity, they couldn't pick that up?
Well, I don't think it's a question I would like to respond to. But I do know that there's going to be tough talk amongst ourselves as members of cabinet to ensure that as we engage with our officials, we get the real answers.
And the wrap-up, Minister, the gathering today, what's the purpose?
Well, this is a gathering of ministers, which was preceded by a meeting on Friday of technical experts of the continent. Yes, for the past 2 days. Then on Saturday and Sunday, we had a meeting of senior officials of the Defence Force. Then yesterday, we had a meeting of the chiefs of defense staff, right? So today it is the ministers will be receiving a report from all of those entities about work which has been done, issues of dealing with our own structures within the peace and security system of the African Union. So at the end of the meeting, hopefully we will be able to provide you with the outcome of this gathering. But I think I'll be unfair not to say this, take this opportunity, Sophie, that we should call on South Africans, call on our society to rally behind young girls. Some of the incidents we have seen in the past couple of months, and for me, the worst which was most striking was what happened over the weekend to that UCT student and what happened yesterday when a 6-year-old was kidnapped. Thanks God that the child is back home with her parents, but the point is it's something which should never have happened. What worries me though is that the transport system infrastructure in the country is such that our young girls rely on the Ubers, on the Taxifys and all of these things. And I'm now beginning to have my questions about that. What do we do to secure our young girls, to secure our young women from being abused and murdered by these criminals?
Some may argue, Minister, you are in government. You have facilities. You have the power to intervene.
Well, we do have the power to intervene, but it doesn't make us less humans by way of wanting to express your feelings. I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I'm a feminist, and it's something, it's a trend which should worry me. If there's anything that requires a state of emergency, it is the protection of the young girls. You know, I have girls in the house who live with me who were saying yesterday, so it's not now a matter of when, if it will ever happen to me, it's a matter of when, you know. So every young girl out there has developed a lot of anxiety, frustration about lack of protection and feeling vulnerable. If you listen to the interview this morning with one of the girls who were last seen with her, she says in the morning, earlier that day, this UCT student wanted to go to Cavendish, to Woolworths, to buy some groceries. And she says, please accompany me. And this other one says, no, but really, Cavendish is just across the road from where you stay. But she just insisted and said, I don't like the eyes, the manner in which these guys look at me, generally, you know. And as if this girl had a premonition that this thing was going to happen to her. So I'm just saying it's not the only one. There are so many I mean, there've been so much happening, and I think to a large extent it has maybe immobilized the women's movement in the country. I think sometimes you get shocked, and that shock, you react in a manner such that you are completely immobilized. But I think now we should wake up from sleep. We're not dreaming. This is a reality. Some of the things which we used to read about happening elsewhere are now happening in our country, in South Africa, and therefore we need to do something. We need to be stronger in terms of the voices. We need to come out. In the past, we used to have campaigns to say women occupy the streets in the night, and maybe we need to go back to that kind of campaign.
Minister, thank you for your time. That was the Minister of Defense, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, talking to us about the current protest in the country, the purpose of the gathering here, but also the current disaster and a crisis where women are being abused and killed. Back to you in studio.